What's up, Hero Stock Nation?
Now, the first book is Dark Therapeutic Poetry, and this is called Living on the Razor's Edge. Playing with life because you have nothing left. You go faster and faster, so fast that you don't want to stop. The only thing that will stop you is the object that you hit next. Always taking a chance because nothing ever happens to you, just waiting for death and time to both meet you in the right place. And then you will rest and play these little games no more. All that will be left is the hurting and the pain that you left in someone's heart. You're like a cat with 9 lives, and soon everything will be on top of you. Then you'll have no place to hide. In the end, you're out on a limb, and soon it will break. The dream will come true. You're always talking about being on the razor's edge and killing yourself. Just keep going wrong and going faster and faster, and you will meet death face to face. For now, you ride the razor's edge, my friend. Your time door is closing, so wake up and get on the right track. Because if you don't, someday I'll be reading this to your tombstone. Then the world will be quiet, and you will look down on your own grave and wish you had never lived on the razor's edge.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Roundtable, where heroes talk. I'm Tom Lamog, and I'd like to bring on Matthew Jones.
This guy right here. Yeah.
Look at you. Yeah.
What's going on, bud?
Hey, it's good to see you. I know Hero Stock is coming. It's coming August 15th. It's about 90 days away, right?
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Away. It is right around the corner. And so
we've already got fans doing countdowns. Isn't that crazy?
So is our website, herostock.org. Yeah. It's got the countdown on there. But we're hearing about live acts, including Black Hawk. We've got the writers.
That's going to be really cool. I grew up listening to Black Hawk.
Yeah, they're big. Yeah. They're big time. We've got the big badass, beautiful beard, or whatever the name of that twister. You have to ask Doc Goodbeard.
The big badass, beautiful beard battle.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Just bring your beard is all.
Yeah, just show up with your face in your face fur.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk too much about the 75 plus. Vendor booths that are going to be there. And the last time we were there, we had salts and seasonings, we had equine therapy, we had a whole bunch of different services and resources at the booths. And I'm told that there are going to be 75 or more for this year. So
it's always nice to hear the or more. For sure. It blows me away. It just gets bigger and bigger every year.
Exciting. Veterans get in at no cost, right?
Yep.
At no cost. Ashland, Nebraska, August 15th. Herostock.org is where you can find out more information. Before we get into that, though, deeper into that, because there's a lot to talk about, I'd like to go ahead and let you know who our guest is tonight. We're joined by author William Stevo Stevens, a 6-time award-winning author, mental health advocate with over 38 years of combined military and federal service. He's honorably retired. His experience spans combat on and off the battlefield and behind the scenes with the civilian government. Stevo is the creator of the Reflection series, including The Broken Mirror, No Filter, and the Legacy Edition, books that explore resilience, personal growth, relationships, transition, and the moments in life that shape who we become. Let's bring him on right now. Stevo.
I just want to say every time I come on a podcast, I just like to thank all the people who gave their service and sacrifice, past, present, future warriors. Thank you for your service. So.
You are a man who's touched many hearts. I know we introduced you as an author. Of course, the years that you have served. You've also a podcast. You have a weekly podcast. There's a lot that's going on in your world, but we're so glad to actually have you sit down with us, an award-winning writer. That's quite an impressive resume that you've got there.
Not a lot in mental health. There's not a lot of awards in mental health either. So
Well, hey, let's talk about, what you open the show with, the live reading. The passage immediately sets the tone for the kind of writing that you do. And maybe you can kind of give us some background on what it is that you read for us. I mean, as an introduction to our audience.
So, living on the razor's edge. So, from 19 to 43, age 43, 19 to 40, age 43, I have been writing cryptic little pieces of paper, like on guard duty, things about relationships, and stuff about my friends that I have interacted with through high school. But I had a friend named Matt who he lied all the time in high school. And then he joined the military and he started like, I didn't even know he joined the military after I joined the military. And then, he's always saying that he was a this and that. I won't say what types of things, but and I never knew. And then one day I was at home on break, and I saw him, and I saw his car, and he had a Purple Heart plate on his car. And I sat down with him and had a conversation. I was like, "Dang, dude, you and I haven't seen each other in like 10 years. You've been doing your thing, I've been doing my thing. Like, what have you been doing?" And he has just been constantly telling me, like, done this, done this, been part of the Golden Knights and this, Ranger, Airborne, best, all this. And I've never seen him in uniform, like his dress uniform. I've always saw pictures of him wearing the baseball hat with the vest and all that. So I'm like, okay. So then um, I found out that some of the stuff he said was a lie because he lied to us in high school. And some of our friends are no longer here. So when I was writing, and I was in a very dark world at the time when I was writing because like at that time, my father had died in 2017, and I was in a very dark place. I had this whole manuscript, and I said, "Man, I need something that's going to like hit hard when people pick up a book because when people pick up a book, some authors when they do a book, they don't understand that when somebody turns the page or listens to the audiobook, that next page needs to catch them. So what I did in my parents' empty apartment, I took this manuscript of like, and I had it all printed out. And I didn't even know it was going to be a book. I was just like, you know what? I need to be an advocate. I seriously need to be an advocate because like my marriage has failed. My kid doesn't like me. And my dad died. My mom died. And all I had was my sister. And I was like, okay. So I laid this manuscript out and I said, I'm going to look at myself as the reader, not as the author. And I just laid it and I kept going, yep, this is the way I want it to be. This is the way I want it to be. And every time you turn a page, it's like, wow, just keeps getting builder and builder and builder and builder. And it was originally called The Mirror, and it was a gold cover, and it is a hallway. The Sentinel newspaper did an article on me, and actually they did it on my dad because he was a two-time Korean War veteran, Pork Chop Hill, and they took a picture of me in the hallway, and I say that picture in that book, this picture right here in the book, is me walking to the light. This is me walking to the light. So you can imagine if that was a gold cover, it'd be all golden and the sun and all that. But I ran into some dark times as an author being screwed over. So I changed the cover to black and white. And now, because I have tremors so bad, I talk to my book. I talk and the words that are from the mind, body, and soul come out. So I'm not like a person that sits down and writes. So when we edit everything, there's a lot of likes and ands because of people that speak. There's a lot of likes and ands. So everything that I write about is very, very dark. And then I got into building toolboxes for mental toolboxes. So the thing that really helped me to
Let me go back to a second for just a second here. So, because this is obviously something that it's like a springboard into so many different areas of the way that you write and the emotions and the experiences. You just read that to us, and I'm not sure. You had mentioned to me that you don't typically read aloud.
No, I don't.
Which is why we're so thankful to have you share these words coming from your voice. Can you go back and revisit the emotions When you read it, was there, maybe you've read it, thousands of times already, and it's
I
like,
rehearsed it about 4 or 5 times before I came on tonight.
did it strike you emotionally? I mean, did it bring back those emotions of some of those thoughts and feelings about that encounter, with that gentleman? Did it bring you back to that?
Um, Really, no. Him and I are no longer friends. But the thing about it is, like I was telling you earlier, I listen to my audiobooks. I listen to my 3 audiobooks because, like, when I'm going through it, I know that there's things in there that I can reflect back on. They're like coping mechanisms to me. And
Right.
I've heard and read through the years that I've been an author that some people like dark, they go back to the darkness, you know, to bring out because if we don't speak about it, we keep it balled up inside of us. And then we're bouncing all over the walls.
We had this
So
similar conversation with the musician, one of the musicians who came on. Um, you know what? And it was basically, I have to go to the dark place in order to write, and I get very emotional about it. And in order to and producing the quality of songs and the songs that meet his expectation, it was Devin Stewart, Matt. Right? Devin is the one
Yep.
who basically
Yep.
said, "I got to
Devin
go
Stewart.
to a deep, dark place." It's interesting to find out, Stevo, that it's the same with you in writing.
I write about pain, pain.
Yeah, I've heard, and so in a couple of the other interviews that you had done, I know you had mentioned it on Grunt Style. You had talked about when veterans get out of the military, kind of that stigma that's associated with your service, like you don't talk about certain things. And when I heard this piece at the beginning of this episode tonight, it reminded me of a song that I wrote called "Running," and that song talks about the things that we typically would not bring out to the light of day and talk about with other people, and it paints a picture that, kind of in hindsight, we're all running from something. When you wrote this, was it a target in mind? Was the audience already selected on who you wanted to impact with this?
So there are 3 different books. So the first book, The Mirror, which is dark therapeutic poetry, I dated a girl for 8 years and 4 years at Carson, went to Korea. She stayed with me. I went back to Carson. She stayed with me. I went back to Korea, and then I found out that it went downhill. So um, it was kind of like I wanted to put a thorn in her side because a lot of the stories, and a lot of people have asked me, who is this girl? Who is the girl that's in the web? Like there's stories about being caught in the web.
Yeah,
And like there's stories in there about sitting down with the devil and playing cards, you know?
yeah,
And it's like playing the cards are about relationships, the
kind
many
of like who's
relationships.
the culprit, who's the
Exactly.
instigator,
Yeah. So
antagonizer.
it was based on a girl, okay? But then there were different scenarios. Like I've also pulled out a lot of people don't understand, like the whole genre of Star Wars. There's a piece in there that says Star Wars, the mental health journey or something, because like Kylo Ren,
Yeah,
remember
he was a
Kylo Ren?
basket case. Yeah,
Yeah, he was a basket case. And I mean he was manipulated mentally by Luke Skywalker, and people don't know this, but Luke wanted to kill him because he knew that he was going to be evil, and um, Ben Solo was his real name. So I wrote about Ben and how these fictional characters, can have mental health issues too, and that one really popped.
yeah,
And I have a story in there where I was 19 years old called 96 Hours. A lot of people don't understand Desert Storm was only 96 hours.
yeah,
You have the shield, the storm, and the comfort, and I was there for the whole thing. And I witnessed as I wrote 96 hours as a private with no job, digging foxholes and being a powder pit guy, standing out there holding
yeah,
increments and the old artillery. When a T-72 Russian tank comes into your position and starts firing at guns
yeah,
and popping things off, you're like, I'm 19. I just got a basic. What's going on? So I wrote
Yeah.
all about that. And then I changed my whole scenario because like that book was all like therapeutic for veterans. And then when I became an advocate, I was speaking more out on the road with civilian people. But
Yeah.
you understand, we transition into civilian life and we bring them demons from the battlefield out
Yeah.
to the civilian world. And that's why I write, because I want people to understand these are the things that I've gone through, and that stigma of 22, you got 44, you don't know what number it is, but we forget it's not just a veteran. It's the
Yeah.
family member or the spouse or the child that's stressed out that could unalive themselves because a veteran is mentally abusing the child, like I did with my daughter in the broken mirror.
Yeah.
I didn't know who my daughter was because when I got out of Walter Reed, I was so drugged up on medication that I had no clue, you know.
Yeah.
And that's when
And
I wrote The Mirror, and then I wrote The Broken Mirror after I got fired from the civilian government.
yeah, I remember in one of your previous interviews, you had mentioned that you went to Walter Reed and you were doing the transition. And now you weren't a big advocate on writing per se because
No.
writing resumes, it sucks. It just sucks, you know. Um, but is that where that love of writing that kind of took place right there?
So when I got fired from the civilian government, I had only written one book, and that was The Mirror. I did
Yeah,
not write anything after that. So when I got fired, so I was suicidal twice. So when my mom died in 2014, I wanted to unalive myself. And then in 2024, I have already worked 16 years with the civilian government as a security specialist, and my mouth got me in trouble, but today my mouth helps people. So I got fired over, they sent me an email and said, you're terminated. And I'm like, well, I have a high security clearance, but they didn't debrief me. And it was, I had already been working. Friends have been telling me, hey, you better file for disability retirement. You'll probably get it. You know, no one helped me. I'm up at like 2, 3 in the morning having these weird thoughts. Biggest band I listen to is Nine Inch Nails and Breaking Benjamin. I'd be listening to all these weird,
there ain't
different
nothing wrong with
demonic,
that.
these different sounds, you know. But then May 4th, when the Broken Mirror was created, I was sitting on my back porch with my little dog. I was suicidal. I did not know if I wanted to be here. And I was talking to my dog. I was like, I think it's just going to be you, you know? And I sat there and I picked up my phone because I couldn't, I proved in my first book, the book one and book two have both been approved by the Pentagon Review Board for what I talk about. Because you can't talk about certain things and you can't, no names, no organization, and no locations. That'll keep
Yeah,
you from being getting sued. But I'm sitting on my back porch and I talked to my phone and I wrote the first entry. Well, it was actually an entry I moved, but it was called The Calm Before the Storm. Is we're talking about where basically I was suicidal. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to clean the house. And I started to talk to my phone some more. Then I got online and I saw that there were veteran podcasts and stuff. So I started getting on veteran podcasts and started talking a little bit. And I
Another
started telling them,
opportunity.
I'm like, hey, I'm gonna write this book called The Broken Mirror. And lo and behold, a couple months later, speaking and everything. And I had a buddy who wrote for the Gettysburg Battlefield. He edited everything. He's 75, and it came out to be an amazing book. And it has the resume writing because I learned in the civilian government with people that are like GS-15s that are in HR that were my buddies that were veterans. They tell you you have to take the military lingo and change it over to the civilian lingo because
yeah,
they don't care about what you are. So
yeah.
I put that in there. I put death and dying. I put all kinds of different like borderline personality. I even talked about political stress.
There's a lot here. There's a lot of ground to cover. Does it come to you naturally? And if so, or if not, maybe you can talk about how this process in your mind works and how things are written. Does it come easy?
So I'm kind of the guy when I pick up my phone and I talk and it comes out, it's the first thing that comes out. I might change a couple things and go back and edit it, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not a good reader or very editor. I was very like low level classes in high school. Not really. I have like a basic, what is it called? Equivalent to a bachelor's for military leadership that combined everything with like all this different schools and
Yeah.
classes and all this. I did the sweep thing and got credits from Colorado University of Pikes Peak and all that. And so when I speak to my phone, it's what comes out. So basically, now I don't write no more. I do audio monologues
Mhm.
to keep peace with myself. But somebody just came out to me the other day and was like, "Look, you have a very dominant message. I'm writing this book." The Marine Corps gunnery sergeant said, "I want you to write the forward to my book." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't write no more." So he said, "I'm just going to give you the two books, and I need you to look at them." I'm like, "Dude, I can't even read very well." So I just took the chat and put both books in chat, and it pulled out all the most important things. And I said, "Well, okay." And I have it read back to me. Like I would put it in and read aloud. And I'm only
Hmm.
using my tablet and my phone. I have no other software. I'm using like PDF to read back to me.
Yeah.
And I listen to this and then I go and say, okay. So he wants me to write a forward to the new book that he's explained to me over the phone. We talked for like 2 hours. I even know this guy. I met him on Facebook. And he loves my mission and everything I'm doing. And he goes, "You're a voice, you're powerful. I want you to write this forward." So I just talked to my phone. The forward came out. I ran it through chat. I said commas and stuff like that. Let's spit this out.
What you talk about reminds me of, maybe a dictaphone, right? It's kind of like you've got the boss speaking into the recorder itself.
Yeah.
He's writing, although he's speaking. It doesn't sound it's any different than what you're describing right now. So you are in fact writing, even though you're just speaking it.
Oh yeah,
The words have
because you
got to
know
come
what?
out
People
some
have people
way.
have disabilities.
Yeah.
People have disabilities, and I learned a lot of people can't read. Like veterans can't read, or they're so drugged up. That's why all three of my books are on audio. I don't care if I make money off of audiobooks, but more audiobooks sell. And I believe if they're going to do this to our currency, eventually printing is going to be so expensive that we're going to go to ebook and audio. In the future, we're going to probably be reading a book on our wrist, or looking at a screen
There's a
that's a
market
whole
for
Like
different
that.
some of those
topic. But
sci-fi movies we have now.
yeah,
No, you're definitely onto something for sure. Not everyone, just as you're talking about right now, reads. They'd rather
no.
have it, played back through audio or watch it on the video. It's not.
But I can tell you that the broken mirror has saved three people's lives.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask when you decided that writing was something that you wanted to come out with publicly, and what kind of impact you've seen from your writing.
So it didn't happen until last year because I bought, I told Grunt Style I bought an RV. I sold my house and I was out on the road.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize, like how I didn't even realize an award-winning author yet. So the book didn't have anything on it yet. It was
Yeah.
just the plain The Broken Mirror. And I was at a campground and a lady explained to me that this guy that's sitting in this chair, he was in the military for like 25 years and he was a police officer for like 10 years. He had all this experience and he tried to recruit his son to join the Navy. He was a master at arms, and his son was on his way to Florida because he had done the MEPS and all that, and he was going to process in Florida, and he was in a head-on collision.
Yeah, I
And the
remember
dude
hearing
lost
this.
his only son. So this lady was like, "Well, I don't need this book. Why don't you give him the book?" And I sat down with him. I said, "Hey, I don't know. You have to bring him down to this level. You have to be down to the same level. You cannot be up here." And I said, "Look, I don't know if there's anything in here that can help you, man." I said, "I have been suicidal twice." And I said, "I believe that there is coping mechanism here." I said, "I would not even imagine if I lost my own child, because these books are about a father or a parent and their child." I said, "And you are now in that situation. And I believe that you've had a great military career. You retired from the police department. You can't do this, man. You know, it you have to carry on your legacy, even though you're the last one, you know?
Yeah.
So a couple of days later, he had been hospitalized for like something was going on healthy with him. And I saw him a couple of days later reading my book out at the campground by his RV. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, man, are you getting anything out of this?" And he stood up, he closed the book, and he hugged me and he said, "Your book saved my life, man." And then I realized, even though I'm not getting a lot for my books while I'm out on the road and I'm using my own retirement and disability, one person, it only takes one person to make that happen. And you know what? I could write for the rest of my life, but I can go back better than any Amazon review or anything. And I would love for him to give his testimony, but I really don't want to call him out there, you know? So I take his testimony. And then when I came back here to New Cumberland, Pennsylvania, I had given my book, I give my book away quite a bit
Yeah.
instead of selling it, you know? They're like mental tools for your toolbox,
Yeah.
you know? So there was a lady here that was suicidal. I gave her my book. Her husband said that she was really whacked out, but he came to me and said, "Your book, your book saved our marriage, bro." So I'm like, okay, there's two. And then just a little bit ago, we had a guy who had been taken out of the military for something he did. He couldn't adapt to the infantry. So they threw him out. He had a fight with his girlfriend. He became suicidal. And then he started living here. And I sat down with him. I'm like, "Look, dude, you're scaring people, man." It was like 3 in the morning. I was going to get on the treadmill and I had my headphones on. I sat down. I said, "Look, man, I'm going to go back to my room real quick because I don't think you're going anywhere because all you do is sit out here on the couch all day and all night. And there's a problem here." So I went and got my book and I said, "Look, I don't know if this book can help you, man." I said, "I've got a couple other books, man, but you just seem like when I engaged with you and you told me that your father said that you didn't amount to anything." I said, "Dude, you are enough." I said, "I had a father that beat me mentally, physically, and I'm here. I joined the army." I said, "Just because that you got kicked out of the military and couldn't adapt, that don't mean you're a failure." I said, "To me, you sound like you're pretty intelligent. So I would try to carry that on. Or maybe you need to write a book about your experience." So then he left and he was institutionalized. And the lady that works here, she said, he wanted to leave you a message and tell you that that book will help him while he's institutionalized. And he wanted to end his life the night before he went to institution at the VA.
Wow.
And he said there was just something in there about the death and dying piece that captivated him and kept him. So I'm like, okay. But I
Yeah.
don't put in my stories that these books save people's lives. I give the live testimony and I'm not reading anything, but I truly believe that because of all the terrible shit, sorry, that I did to my wife mentally and my daughter mentally, nothing physically, I need to be the messenger because there's a lot of people out there that are in the same situation as me that aren't here today or they're behind bars. And I've
Yeah.
seen many veterans who come out from the service who write books. And there's a guy named F.A. Hefe. He's a Master Chief, Command Master Chief from the Navy. He now takes his gang related experience and being at the highest level of the Navy and goes to gang prisons and teaches the stuff out of his book because he knows these kids are eventually going to get out. And he even mentioned on a podcast, all his homeboys are dead. And it's only him and his wife, and he's living luxurious life, and he's out there preaching. And you know what? I'm like, I don't think I could charge anyone to speak. You know,
Yeah.
I'm doing this right now on my own platform. When I started doing all this, I had maybe 100 followers. Now I got like 3,000 followers on TikTok, and that's
Let's.
pretty good for mental health. I'm going to read from my award-winning book, The Broken Mirror. So I'll show you the new cover. This is the new cover since it's a literary 4-star award book. And I also got nominated for the Eric Hoffer Book Award
I like
in
that
the
cover.
yeah. So it used to be real dark. And because it's now award-winning book, I took the awards off the book and made it blingy a little bit to
Put
make it
some
more
bling on it. Add
captivating.
some
Yeah,
color
at the
to it.
bottom, like the sun,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
still has the U.S. book review like iced out.
Yeah.
But somebody told me all your awards are hiding you as transition. That's me transitioning from the military to the civilian life.
That's
It's like a soldier and a civilian guy together.
like part of its gear and part of its civilian
Yeah.
clothes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so this here, and like I said, it's very dark. This is from The Broken Mirror, and this is called My Invisible Demons. We all live with I probably could memorize what I'm about to read to you because some of these are real, they hit really hard. So
Hit it
this
up, man.
My Invisible Demons. Who are these invisible demons that haunt us daily? Why? Why do they always seem to be lurking in our minds? Where do these invisible demons come from? What are your invisible demons? For now, until the ending of this book, you will discover the many invisible demons that haunt us day and night. The invisible demons come when we don't expect them. Someone once told me that they felt like a hero trying to slay the demons like a dragon or dragon's lair. But who is the dragon? Could it be PTSD or the mental illness that I've never asked for? Or could it be my own invisible demons from my more distant past as a child? Is the dragon the end of the story where I become the dragon slayer and kill my own invisible demon? The following entries beyond these pages will answer this Harry Potter type journey, and I hope that you all can find the answers that you are looking for to heal yourself or even slay your own dragon. People cannot put traumatic events behind them until they are able to acknowledge what has happened and start to realize the invisible demons they struggle with. Accept it, talk about it. Everyone will eventually come face to face with their invisible demons, and you will reflect on the pain and the anger that you suffered during your own journey and myself through the broken mirror.
Thank you for reading that passage. And you say you don't read. I'm just sensing some real emotion in that.
But
You know,
as an instructor in the Army, I learned to rehearse. Rehearsal is the most important thing. And if you don't believe this, PCCs and PCIs, I use them every day, man.
Man,
Like
I
I'm
still use those abbreviations.
my buddy, hey, my buddies are like, Steve, we are not talking that crap. We're not good PCC, PCI, but I learned pros and cons. I do my pros and cons, and I knew that I was doing this podcast, and this is one of the biggest podcasts. I mean, Grunt Style is big, but you guys are big too. And I was just on Vet SOS as well.
well, thanks
So yeah, I was just on
Yeah, I
Vet.
think that was the other interview I watched because I know it
Yeah, I
started
was
the
sitting
12th.
outside
You
with
were
my.
out there.
I was
You're
sitting.
definitely
Yeah, I
out
was
there
sitting
talking.
outside in front of the Hershey Hotel with my
Yeah,
sunglasses
yeah.
on, and my buddy was like telling me. He kept texting me like, "Take your fucking sunglasses off, man. Take your glasses off."
You.
But I
Hey,
did have my
let's. I want
regular.
to go. I
I
want to
had
go
my
back.
glasses on.
I want to go back for a second.
Okay.
Because I want to go back to really the inspiration. You're saying you're not a writer anymore. How do you lose something like that after, writing has been such a part of your past and your life today?
I've been taking. The marketing world is terrible. The marketing world is terrible.
Yeah.
Authors think that they can put they put all this energy and everything into a book, and they put it on Amazon and it doesn't sell. I have networked. I'm learning from the veteran community and the author community. These are two different genres, and I have put them together. And now I'm taking my message of purpose, mental health, suicide, and transition on the road in the next couple months. And every time I speak, it's going to be different. I can't even sit down and write a script and even try to remember a whole script. Just like that piece I sent you tonight,
Mhm.
the voice thing.
Yeah.
My buddy did the voice, and I am going to be on a leadership podcast in the next week, and we're going to talk about military, corporate, and sports leadership because my kid at 18 is a competitive cheerleader for Top Gun in Orlando. And she's a
Nice.
two-time world champ. So she does the crawl, walk, run
Yeah.
just like her dad. And I know she knows that the legacy is there because her mom told me one night they were out to dinner. We're divorced now. And she said, we sat down with the Marine Corps veteran and his wife. And the first thing that came out of my daughter's mouth was, my dad's an advocate for veterans. And he talks about mental health because the guy was talking a little bit about his journey in the military, and she goes, I can understand where you're coming from because my dad used to treat me like garbage, and now me and my dad are like this.
Well, let me go back to the purpose behind your writing. To write. I mean, I understand. It's almost ironic how similar it is in the music industry, and we talk to the musicians that come on and say, I'm trying to sell music or I'm trying to be successful at songwriting. And then you have others who are like, I don't want to sell my music. I just want to do this for me. You're in a very similar dilemma. It sounds like it's like, but you've got to do certain things to have your book published or to generate revenue for a book. Yet you are also, providing value to those who are looking for that type of, experience and knowledge, and guidance. Are you often finding yourself at this crossroads as to, I'm going to keep doing this even though it's not making a lot of money, or it is making a lot of money but I don't have a lot of time to do this? Do you find yourself with
I'm
that?
completely retired, so I have all the time in the world, but I spend like 2 to 3 hours a day engaging with people. Like if I get a heart or a like, you have to engage, you know. I now have some of the biggest podcast, not the biggest like TikTok authors or what are they called? Like military content creators or guys that are just huge veteran advocates. One guy came in alive. I did a live one night just to see who would come in, and this guy called After Contact. He was like, "Man, when I got an invite from Storytime with Stevo, I was there, man." And I'm like, dude, the last time I did a live, I think I had like 900 people following me. And now after 3 months, I have 3,000 people following me. So he was like, dude, I see your message in the morning, man. You're so inspiring. He goes, you're not right or left. You're just a badass patriot. He goes, and I like the way you talk about your mental message because, like, there are people that are waiting for your message in the morning and you don't realize that. Because, like, I woke up yesterday and it's the first time in my whole life that I had like I almost couldn't even count them. There was like 500 little hearts. If you're on TikTok and get a little heart, you have to clear them out, man, because it keeps bothering you. I had 500 like hearts from a message that I did from the Broken Mirror. It's like somebody did a voice, um, did a review, but the guy that I sent you that thing, he did a review by voice, and I connected it to the book cover and I played it, and I believe it got like I didn't pay for this or anything. 11.2 thousand views. Just, I don't know if it was 3 seconds. People listen to
Yeah.
the whole thing, but it's resonating. People are listening. And one thing I would like to share with you, because when my daughter was young, I treated her like garbage. My last book, No Filter, my daughter endorsed me. And I want to read that endorsement.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember hearing this on another episode, but I'd love you to read that again.
So I have the endorsement. So I want you to know that I did not put a pew pew to her head. I just said, Isabel, and the way I did my book, I did not want it to be like an anthology. What's it called? I can't even pronounce it. Epinology, or a preface or forward. So I took it as a little girl wrote in her diary, and this is called Izzy's diary
Izzy's diary. Yeah, that's what it was.
because my daughter's name Isabel, but all the cheerleaders call her Izzy, Coach Izzy. This brought me to tears, so I may tear up because when I saw this, all I had to call my daughter, and I was like, "You didn't have to do this." So, Izzy's diary. Growing up, a lot of things felt like a blur. I don't remember every detail, just that I was always with my mom and my grandparents. I remember Christmas and birthdays, little flashes of happiness, but the rest fades into the background. As I got older, I started to notice the tension between my parents. I remember the fights. I never really understood them. It was confusing and sometimes very hard, but I kept quiet. But through it all, one thing never changed. I always loved my dad. Before I moved away, before I moved away, my dad and I grew closer. He taught me how to drive, And those moments meant more to me than he realizes. Over the past year, our bond has grown stronger. He moved his whole life to Florida just to be near me, and that says everything. Having a dad like mine is something special. No matter how complicated things were growing up, I've always loved him, and I know that he loves me too. At Izzy Steven. So what happened was I was out on the East Coast helping veterans in North Carolina, the homeless people in my RV, and my ex-wife, who I don't like, lost her job. So we were paying 10,000 a year for competitive cheerleading. So I ended up paying all of it. Plus, Pennsylvania was taking 1,500 for child support before the divorce. Like while I got divorced,
Yeah.
so I'm out there helping my daughter, and I stayed in Florida until she graduated. And probably I only see my daughter 3 times because she's a 2-time world champ. I mean, she's always at the gym, always coaching little girls and helping little girls. And then when I moved away, she told me that was very hard for me, Dad, that you're not there no more. And when my buddy told me, dude, you need to do this memoir about being raw because people don't know about how people grow up and the things that when people treat you like garbage or talk to you bad, they don't know really who they're talking to. And then when I said, Izzy, I know I always tell you to share things about your dad on TikTok or on thing. She's got like 20,000 followers and she's 18. And she's like, no, Dad, I'm not sure. When we talk, no military, no books. We talk about daddy daughter stuff. And I said, I need you to do one thing for me. I said, I really want the world to know because the broken mirror leaves you at a cliffhanger. How did that relationship end? So then when I built No Filter, my daughter, the very first thing in that book is Izzy's diary. So
Wow.
yeah.
Man, oh
But
man.
then I came out
Absolutely.
with the reflection series is all 3 books combined into one.
Well, we're gonna touch on that. This is obviously published, and I'm
Oh
curious
yeah, it's published.
if
All right.
if you've had readers come up to you and share their reactions to that story that you just shared.
Some of my military friends knew how I treated my ex-wife and my daughter, and they're like, dude, we thought sometimes that you were going to go to jail, man, the way you treated, or like we thought that you were actually going to put hands on your daughter, like after you got, like they stayed in the military and I got out because I had a problem. And like when I got out of Walter Reed, I was I got married in 2006. So I retired on Halloween in 2008. So I was already married, but we lost one child in 2000, was it 2006, we lost our first child, and I had a heat stroke, and I was in the hospital at the time. I wrote about that in the Broken Mirror because I was in the hospital, and she had a miscarriage, and she was in the hospital, and she wanted me to drive all the way from Fort Dix, New Jersey, home, and I said I couldn't do it, and I actually laid there and wrote this story in my head because I was like, I think God didn't want that child to come in the world because like I'm already shot up with 13 anthrax shots, maybe, and I've been to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and they say that a lot of people from Desert Shield, Desert Storm have like stillborns and stuff like that years later because I truly believe that the fruit flies were a biological thing. People don't believe me, and I talk about depleted uranium. They don't want to talk about that, but I tell people that when you read the Broken Mirror, it's kind of like an ending, and they're like, "Why didn't you say that the relationship was better?" Because it wasn't. It was building. I started teaching my daughter how to drive at 14, and she actually thought that I was going to be like teaching her like a private. I was very calm, and she told me like she was like, Dad, I really appreciate you giving me time and all this. And like, she was very nervous when we went to the driving test, but she was already doing anything. And I would get out of the vehicle and I'm like, nope, you're going to turn the wheel this way and you're going to park this way. And she's like, if you weren't hard but fair, and that's the thing, hard but fair, I would have never done what you told me to do. And now in her coaching, I saw my daughter on a video and she was screaming out of like a megaphone. They have megaphones that they scream at the kids. And I was like, Isabel, do your girls think you're hard but fair? And she goes, I was just going to say that, Dad. Some of you have rubbed off on me, but I'm never going to be like mentally abusive to the girls and the guys that I coach. But they know that Coach Izzy is hard but fair. And I was like blown away. But I have a couple people that ask me, they're like, how is the relationship? Because like, these kids these days, they'll just send you a message like emoji or different
Yeah.
cryptic letters and stuff. And I'm
It's not
like,
like there's a whole lot of actual dialogue going on. It's things you have to decipher. You have to
yeah.
figure
So,
out like,
and now my kid, she's in cosmetology school in Orlando, and her mom got her into these loans. And I just sold the RV
yeah.
because I got my passport. Now I want to take my podcast out to like different countries and
Wait a
speak
minute.
on the
Wait.
road.
You
I
said
sold the RV.
you sold the RV. That was like 5, 6 months ago. You sold the RV.
No, I sold it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Well, you were just talking about you were going to take this whole thing out on the road. How are you going to do that?
No,
You ain't
I'm
got...
going out in my vehicle. I'm going out in my, I have a Telluride.
Oh,
So me
okay.
and the dog. So I'm trying to talk to public affairs at military installations so that I can go to like theaters on base. And
Oh, okay. Nice.
anyone that's transitioning, like if I know I'm going there, I'm going to advertise it myself on Facebook and have the command do it. I already have linked up with a few garrison or installation sergeant majors, but they kind of like you got to have a program, and I'm
You
like,
gonna try to get in on
yeah,
their SFL TAP program?
yeah, kind of like, but not even on the tap thing. I'm just going to go, hey, there's this guy at the theater. And if anybody wants to know about military transition or what life is after the military,
Yeah.
this guy is here. And here's the thing, I'm going to take my dog with me because I don't know if you all know, I think you've been seeing, but she just had life saving surgery. It cost me $5,000. My dog has been with me for 13 years.
So let's go back to the beginning of the program where you said you usually speak, when you write, or you're speaking instead of writing. We're talking about something very personal, your dog and saving your dog and how much money and all. Is this going to appear in a book? Are you getting ready to write about this? Because this is, I mean, people
No,
are interested. People are interested. Dog lovers
no,
are
don't
interested.
don't
The
try to get
trials
me
and
to
tribulations.
write.
Oh,
Don't
come
try to
on.
get no, but I will tell
All
you,
right.
I'm gonna pull this up right now just to tell you. So I used to have a dog and a cat when I was out in the RV, but when I came back here, they said because because the room's so small and Pennsylvania has a stipulation of animal size, I can only have a dog or a cat. And my daughter was like, I will disown you if you get rid of that dog. She goes, you can get rid of that cat. I've had the cat for 10 years. That was one of the hardest things because they were like brother and sister. So I
Yeah.
left her at a lady with a campground in like South Carolina at the Pedro place, the place that has the Mexican on the border
Yeah.
on South. Yeah, that lady took my cat. And sometimes till today on my phone, her little thing pings that she's like 500 miles away.
Oh, yeah.
But
Air
in no
tag.
in no filter, chapter 19
Mhm.
are my survival, my animals, my piece, my
Nice.
dog, like,
Yeah.
and no filter. Before I write the chapter, still effing here.
Mhm.
The last chapter before I write that closing is about my animals and my survival with my animals.
So
Because
if
So
you
it's
I
like
did
to
have
still
think
it.
that it's
effing
all
here, man.
about being a veteran or anything related to transition, that you're wrong.
It's gonna be in the program because I'm gonna prove people if they don't want to be here,
Mhm.
you do have a reason to be here because if she would have died, I don't know if I'd be here. But you know what? I still have a daughter. But the dog realized that she's traumatized because she doesn't bark at other dogs now. She doesn't bark at cats. Now I can use her as a service animal because the requirement for a service animal, they're
Can't
not
be
allowed to bark
barking.
at,
Yeah.
they can't bark at people. And you know what? That dog can see a blue toy and a red toy. And I've done it on video. And I said, Zoe, get the blue duck, and she will go and get the blue duck and bring it right up to me. And then I say, go get the red duck. I have it on video on TikTok, and people are like, how do you have that dog trained? When I got that dog 13 years ago, I hated that dog because I was so drugged up on lithium and Prozac and all that. I
And
hated that
now,
dog. That dog knew
uh,
I was evil. She used to bark at me all the time. But see, I'm not intimate with her. I don't have a man or a woman, and she's my dog. And when I yell, she takes the repercussion. So
Yeah.
I still am an advocate,
sure.
but I still have demons. Like I still yell. People make me mad, but The two things that I try to live the most in my life and my main coping mechanism, no toxicity and no drama. And when I cut the strings. I don't have a boss. I don't have anyone to tell me what to do. No one tell me to go to bed. No one can tell me to drive here or there. And that's why I'm going to go out and preach my message to people about what is your purpose and do you have a 5-year plan
Ben,
when you get out of the military?
is authenticity a part of, again, what it is that's a part of your writing? Is it important? And I think I know the answer to this because you shared what what your daughter had written, what that you had published.
All the time.
And it, to be fair,
All the time.
authenticity's got to be way up there as well. What do you think?
All the time. I don't consider myself as an author. I'm a storyteller. I'm a creator. I'm a visionary. Like I'm not, I don't consider myself as an author because the stuff that I write about, AI cannot write what I talk about because AI does not have emotions. I don't care. A human has to tell AI to do something. And when I put in my books, and I even when I put them through Ingram to print my like, they have to go through formatting and and editing when you send them through Ingram to distribution. They still have to do it. And I told them, when you have your editors, you do not take my voice out of it because if you do, I have the actual copy and we're going to do it again because that's what one of my friends who's his command master chief in the Navy, he said, I don't know you very well, and I didn't like you when you worked for the Navy, when you were a civilian. He goes, but when I read The Broken Mirror, you sent it to me when I was deployed. I thought you were sitting right on the couch talking to me, man. He said, that's
Yeah.
the way those books are.
You were talking with 12 Sergeant Major of the Army,
Yep,
and you
Preston.
had
Oh,
mentioned
Tilly.
that
Tilly.
yeah, Sergeant Major Tilly. You had mentioned that there was a portion of time there where you were driving on the road, and you were kind of being an advocate to people, like your podcast. You were doing some of your
Hmm.
podcast episodes on the road. Well, I don't know whether you saw that or not, but you were being an advocate just for people, just to be people, right?
Hmm.
So my question was, is that right around the time where you kind of felt that transition from being an author and having a selected group of people you wanted to impact to transitioning to that? No, it's time I put that armor and get back out to work and start connecting with people and talking with the everyday guy and the everyday
Oh,
girl.
I know what you're talking
You
about.
know,
I used to be called 1821 Productions.
yes,
And
yes, that's what I was
I
segueing
had
to.
a shield, I had a shield, and I spoke to my daughter and I said, she said, Dad, you need to take the shield down and you need to speak to everybody. So and that's why I made in the shield it had a spade.
Yeah,
And I took the spade and I made a cryptic thing online where it broke apart and the spade turned into fire. So like it's now my new logo is like a spade with fire
yeah,
because I bring the fire. Like I'm no longer hiding behind a shield. But you know what?
yeah.
I got about 1,000 1821 lapel pins.
Yeah, because I was
But I
thinking
just
that transition there from one to the
yeah.
other, it was like, okay, this is from where the authorship turns to the advocacy part of this, where now it's not just the expression of
Mm,
writing
I
or
think
being
it
an
changed
author.
in Phoenix. I think it changed in Phoenix. I don't know if you've seen have you been on my Facebook page?
No, not recently.
So I have a piece where I spoke for 3 minutes to authors, award-winning biggest authors in the world. They asked me to introduce all the awardees and they gave me 3 minutes to speak. And I think when I was speaking at that time, I said, you know what? This is not about military no more because I'm standing in a room full of authors that are known from all over the world, and I'm a nobody. And now I'm a part of the author community because, like, when you win a book award for military transition, self-help, and personal development in two categories and one award ceremony, like they put you on a pedestal, and I didn't want to be on that pedestal, but I had authors from very around the world that were like Sunday morning where we're at breakfast, they were like, "You had the best speech in the house," and I'm like, oh, "Hell no, I did not." They were like, "When you were
Yeah,
talking about drawing at Walter Reed on a board with magic markers like red and blue for pain and every day, and
yeah,
then you said at the end about keep the red marker away." from reading this book and go on life and write with the black marker. She goes, no one talked about that at all in the entire
Yeah.
thing. You didn't talk about your books. You talked about that journey from the magic markers all the way down to where you are today. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, blown away. So
In a way, it's kind of conquering that red marker, conquering that pain,
a lot of people that follow me are not veterans. I have a
Yep.
lot of people
There
that
you
suffered
go.
from sexual trauma.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of females, because I did on my podcast. If you guys go and follow my YouTube, I did episode 15 and 16, a female MST and a male MST, and then I did lessons learned and a sit rep on myself on what I learned, and people came out of the woodwork like, wow. But I learned one thing from that: you got to have a disclaimer, and you got to vet people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
And there's
that's what
three, and
we're hearing as well too.
there are three parts before I end this. Before I say one thing, there are three parts to the truth. There is the victim, and then the other side of the story that they committed to the victim or what they're talking about, and the last but not least piece is the truth.
Yep.
So,
William Stevo Stevens, it has been a pleasure having you sit down with us for this hour. And again, we didn't even get to the legacy, did we? We got to Mirror and No Filter, but we didn't get to that third book, the Legacy Edition. But could you please tell us where listeners and those who are interested in finding everything that you've written out there, where
And all your new stuff that you're gonna write.
no, I'm telling you, man.
Come
But
on,
you know what?
Stevo.
I'll just tell you, if people are struggling and can't buy it, I'll just tell you that my original audio pieces that I recorded when I was out on the road that ACX did not accept because bark and echoes in the background.
Yeah.
You can go to Spotify and you can go to, I think it's 1821 Production still, or Crawl Walk Run, and they're all there, and you can listen to them all free instead of going to buy an audiobook.
Very cool.
And you can go to Story, so it's everything is on. Even my link tree is on my Storytime website that I made. So it is Story, and Time is TYME because there's shitloads of times out there. So it's Story TYME with STEVO 69 because I was born in 69.com, and everything will come up. All the books. You'll see the new advertisement for No Filter. I mean, for the Reflection series. But people were telling me, hey, man, why don't you just put all three books together, man, and do the legacy? But I did an amazing prologue and lessons learned as an author in that book. So I actually sent you guys, you got the email. I sent you the
Thank you.
the
Thank you very
manuscript of that
much.
book for letting me to be on the show.
Thank-
I don't think you're done, Stevo. I think you got something else that God has not told
But
you
I
to
will
write
tell
about
you,
yet.
just like I said, somebody asked me to write a foreword, and that's being an author advocate. I
Yeah.
wrote a powerful foreword to this guy's book, and he was like, "What can I do for you?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man." He's like, "How
Nice.
about we take?"
Networking.
He goes, "I spend $10,000 on all three of my audiobooks. I had a veteran from California read them, and he was not cheap. And you can hear the inflection. Like, if you want, send me the email, and I'll send you the Broken Mirror, or I'll send you No Filter, because that's only an hour and 45 minutes long, because it's only
You said
98
you had
pages.
the same narrator for all three, right?
All three, yeah.
All three.
And that's why it was so expensive, because he charged me.
Consistency.
A 6-time award-winning author, a mental health advocate with over 38 years of combined military and federal service, honorably retired, much more. It's been a thrill talking with you, my friend. So come back soon. We definitely will be interested in finding out if you have any new writings or if any of those audiobooks have been produced, In closing, I just want to make sure that everyone not forget that Hero Stock 26 is coming to Ashland August 15th, 2026, and that's in Nebraska. It's going to feature live music. There's community and support for our veterans, active military, first responders, and Gold Star families. There's no cost for our heroes, and you can learn more about all of what's happening by stopping by our website at herostock.org. I am Tom Lamont, and for Matthew Jones and for Stevo Stevens, keep the conversation going and keep honoring our heroes. Good night.